Well, the holiday season is in full swing right now, and so many teams filled up their shopping carts with gifts for their fan base. And one fan base that so far has seen a little bit of coal in their stocking has been that of the Arizona Diamondbacks. However, there's been a lot of moves going on around baseball, and no better person to talk about those moves than with Miller Thomas of Locked On Diamondbacks. Did I stumble? Yeah, this is Locked On MLB. Hello, baseball fans. Welcome to Locked On MLB, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day. This is the daily podcast. We talk about all of Major League Baseball. I am your host, Paul Francis Sullivan. Check out my lower third there. You can call me Sully. I am an Emmy-nominated television producer who has been a baseball podcaster for the last decade, including the last 4 years with the Locked On Podcast Network. In a couple of days, we're going to be starting my 5th calendar year with the network because I began in the offseason of the 2019 season. So here we go. It'll be 2019, 2020, 2021, 2022. This will be beginning 2023. And you do a baseball podcast in the middle of a pandemic and then in a lockout. But hey, my guest host today, as it is once a week, every week, right over there. Introduce yourself, young man.
Yeah, Miller Thomas, host of Locked On Diamondbacks. I believe I'm coming up on maybe my 3-year anniversary. I think I started the year 2020. So cheers to us, Sully, for being veterans of the Locked On community. You go follow me on all podcasting platforms, of course. Follow me on Twitter at CreatorThomas24 for my personal account. Look up Locked On Diamondbacks on both Twitter and Instagram, of course. And please follow the show account on YouTube as well. Locked On Diamondbacks on there.
And check me out. We'll check this show out. We're at Locked On MLB Pods on Twitter and on Instagram. I'm your pal Sully with Sully Baseball Podcast on Instagram. And check us out on YouTube. Click us. We have, by my last count, I may have misread, 7 billion subscribers.
Wow.
I think I may have misread that, but I think we may have 7 billion subscribers. So if each of you just give Millard $1 and me $1, we'll call it a career. Hey, let's before we get in, because I did want to talk to you a little bit about some of the best offseason moves that were made, and and you and I were going to talk about like some kind of ranking them. First of all, it is the 19th day of December when we're dropping this. Happy birthday to Ian Kennedy.
Okay.
There we go. Ian Kennedy's. It's not a robust bunch of birthdays for today. Rafael Soriano, former relief pitchers, but Jeff Zahn, former Angels pitcher, the late Tony Taylor, the late Al Kaline, Hall of Famer. But it's tough to say happy birthday to someone who's no longer with us. So I guess Ian Kennedy is probably the biggest name who we're saying happy birthday today. Ian Kennedy, of course. Yes.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't think Dbacks fans want to wish a happy birthday to Ian Kennedy after his last.
Really, the tough, very tough crowd here. The Diamondbacks, you and I have talked. You are the host of Locked On Diamondbacks. You
Yes,
are
sir.
Mr. Diamondbacks. You were part snake. And the D-backs had a good ending of the season. They had a great beginning of the season with Seth Beer hitting that grand slam. But they have some promising players. Obviously, they have an established all-star in Ketel Marte. They had good years from, at least in terms of power, from Christian Walker and Dalton
Gold Glove
Varsho.
too. Yeah, Gold Glove too for Walker.
Yep, absolutely. And then there was they had some decent pitching. Obviously, Zach Gallen and Merrick Kelly were better than decent.
There we go.
They were two of the best. I think they were two of the best pitchers in the National League. Merrill Kelly was a legit workhorse, and Zach Gallen threw shutout inning after shutout inning. And obviously, any team that has Madison Bumgarner, is a huge fan favorite. But there were some good Dre Jameson. There was a lot of people who you look at and go like, hey, this is there's some hope for this team. At least there's some talent. And you would think that a team that had some young talent on that would be going into the off season thinking we should add a couple of stable veterans to this team to anchor the lineup, to have one solid bat in there along with Marte, one solid arm in there, and one solid reliever. Man, they've been quiet.
Yeah, this has been a very quiet offseason. Real quick, we need a star jar, Sully. Put a quarter in every time you throw a little Irish twang on Zach Gallen's name because you say Galen like he's Irish or something. It's Gallon, Sully. We're going to play
Hi,
star for you every time you
hi, Zach Galen, my boy. Boy,
Yeah,
oh, top
yeah,
of the morning to you.
yeah. I
All
don't
right,
know.
well, we should have the Pogues playing in the backgrounds. Okay, so I'm saying it wrong when I say Zach Galen.
Yeah, Galen. I don't know where you got the Galen from.
Because my
Gallon.
last name's Sullivan. That's why. That's a
Okay. We'll concede that argument then, Sully. But yes, you're very right. This has been a very quiet offseason for the D-backs because they have currently signed one free agent from this year's pool, and that is Miguel Castro. And I don't think teams want to walk away from the offseason with their headliner being Miguel Castro from your offseason because the D-backs, we enter this offseason with some big needs, of course, in the bullpen. And Mike Hazen has had this whole switch in the bullpen philosophy, going after guys who could throw harder, getting guys with some speed and velocity in the back end of the bullpen. And they have been able to do that with the Miguel Castros of the world, some guys they picked up off the waiver wire, some dudes they traded for, but they haven't made no big splashes in the bullpen. There's been guys like Kenley Jansen's and the Chris Martins of the world and some really good relievers out there on the bullpen market, but the D-backs have decided, let's not spend our money on that. Let's go after these really cheap waiver wire guys.
I have to pause you for a second because my mother, Dr. Edith Sullivan, is listening as she does every week. She likes you a lot as my co-host, but
Okay.
I could just hear her scream when you said we don't need no. You said something they didn't.
A double negative.
Yeah, but she rode her bicycle off the side of the road. We don't need any. We didn't make any. Just sort of, please, let's clean up the grammar. Clean up the grammar.
Man,
You're a role model, Millard. You're a role model. Come on.
I got my background in journalism, but sometimes you need that dirty slang, Sully, when you're talking on the podcast. I got to go back to my roots every now and then. I'm sorry. Is it Mama Sullivan? I'm sorry.
Yeah, you call Dr. Edie Sullivan, who
Dr.
is
Edie Sullivan,
just rode. She's bicycling down the streets of Palo Alto, California, and just rode into a ditch when you said that.
Oh, no. I want you to stay on course, Dr. Eden Sullivan. So we'll try to clean up the grammar for her. But the D-backs, they've addressed the bullpen a little bit. Haven't made any major splashes, though, back then. We thought they were going to bring in maybe a veteran corner infielder like a Justin Turner, who just got signed by the Boston Red Sox. Evan Longoria is still out there. The the D-backs have been linked to him, but they haven't pulled the trigger yet. They were linked to Xander Bogaerts. They were linked to all these catchers. They haven't pulled the trigger on any of those. They did trade for the 2020 American League Rookie of the Year in a Kyle Lewis, but like he has such a stark injury history and hasn't really been able to perform like the last 2 years. Not really going to count on him. So this D-backs team, they've just really played it safe this offseason. They haven't really spent any money, and you're just like, okay, I guess we're just waiting for a lot of internal development. Wait for hope that another year of Dalton Varsho, he progresses, and the Corbin Carrolls and the Alec Thomases and the Jake McCarthy's and all your young guys in the rotation from the Ryan Nelsons and the Dre Jamisons and the Brandon Fats. Like, I guess the D-backs are just hoping this thing will matriculate just in a natural kind of a way. You're going to just marinate this thing, not spend money on those big time free agents, not try to have log jams around certain positions where you know you're going to have young guys coming up. They want this thing to happen naturally, organically, and from a certain kind of perspective. I agree with that, but I do think they needed some veterans, like you said, to round out this roster. I think a Justin Turner or Evan Longoria would have been fine moves. They don't need to go out there and spend a $300 million bag on a Dansby Swanson or however much money he got, the 177 from the Chicago Cubs. But should this team gotten some veterans for the corner infield and the bullpen? Yes, they should have. You shouldn't walk away from an offseason with just Miguel Castro.
Okay, and I'll tell you the name that I was thinking of.
Okay.
And that he got signed. And he got signed to a 1-year deal for not a, for you and I, it would be the time of our life, but for a player who was on the All-Star team last year, who baseball IQ is off the charts. One of the smartest hitters in baseball, who, by the way, is a former Arizona Diamondback. JD Martinez was the perfect guy to insert into this lineup. That you have a guy, again, this guy, it's like hiring another hitting coach. And this guy someday will be a great hitting coach. The JD Martinez has a reputation of being one of the absolute smartest hitters in all of baseball. We all saw what happened when he transformed his career in Detroit. We also happened when he had his half a season in Arizona where he just played at a different level. When he came to Boston and he was exactly the hitter that everyone thought he was going to be, helped them win the World Series. Yes, Astros fans, it was a World Series where there was cheating and some shenanigans and everything like that. I always acknowledge that. However, last year you saw he could still hit, got himself to yet another All-Star team. 1-year deal with Los Angeles. Los Angeles gets all that.
Yeah.
You take a player like that who said, hey, you've already made your fortune. You've already won your ring. Come back to Arizona and they'll be the kids there will be like on their knee listening to Mr. Martinez, give us wisdom. And he would be, the fans would love him again. And to me, when I saw he signed with LA, I started thinking of you. I started thinking, really, Diamondbacks? Really? I mean, it was not exactly a gigantic deal that they signed him to. So it's not like, well, you said they couldn't do the $200 million, $300 million deal. 1 year, $10 million.
Yeah, I think that's what's been like frustrating from this offseason because D-backs fans aren't expecting you to go out there and drop a $20 million bag on someone. We would have been perfectly content with the $10 million to a Justin Turner or JD Martinez. This D-backs team is loaded with left-handed batters. They desperately needed another righty, especially at that DH position, and JD Martinez would have been the perfect fit. He's already been here, had like 27 home runs in that 60-game span or whatever it was. There were reportings that maybe the D-backs were linked to him, but I don't know what the D-backs hesitation is with going after a veteran just to round out the roster. We don't need to sign JD Martinez or any of these veterans to 5-year deals to make a logjam. We just need a 1 or year two, just hold over a little bridge player until these young players are blossoming into the players that we think they could be.
And you have a player like that, if he's in there and he's affecting the Varshos and the Martes and everyone of that in the lineup where he may not hit 34 home runs, but he's going to hit 40 doubles into the gap there. I mean, if he just keeps those rallies going, driving in those runners from second, which is what he does best, those opposite field into the gaps that he would hit, put that in a lineup with a bunch of young kids where you build up their confidence and you take a look and you say, are they going to be better than Los Angeles or San Diego? No, they're not. No, they're not. But could they be the second or third wild card team? Could they beat if a Mets team slumps, and any team filled with that many veterans can slump? Can the Cardinals have a regression? Could Milwaukee have a regression? Could Atlanta? One of these teams could have a regression, and all of a sudden that third wild card spot, the one the Phillies won before going to the World Series. I mean, the Diamondbacks can pitch to a degree and can hit to a degree. And so just raise that up a tiny bit, and all of a sudden you're looking at an 82, 83 win season. And not that that's going to make you the odds-on favorite to win the division, but it could make for a year that those young players can build upon. And I just do not understand why they don't see that.
Yeah, I think the point you make about him being the hitting coach is like the most important thing, because what he would have done for those young players, like watching JD Martinez over the years with the Red Sox, like his approach to the game with how he takes it seriously, like in the batting practices and how he sits. You can watch him in between innings with the iPad going through every swing he has, and you can hear the stories about how him and Mookie Betts, after they go up there from their plate, what they went back to the dugout with the scouting report that they saw from the pitcher. Like JD Martinez had such a big impact on that Red Sox offense during the 2018 season with how he communicated to the rest of his teammates with what he was seeing at the plate. He's basically another set of eyes for your coaching staff, all your players when he's up there at the plate. So that would have just rubbed off so nicely on this young D-backs team. And it's really a shame that the D-backs don't want to add another veteran roster to this really, really young D-back squad that I think is not too far away from competing.